You know that feeling when you're lying in bed at 3 in the morning and your mind won't stop running through numbers? Rent's due in 5 days. The car made that sound again. Your phone just buzzed with another bill notification. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there's this quiet voice asking, is this just how life is now? I'm Zick, and I want to talk about something most financial experts won't tell you because it doesn't fit neatly into their 10-step programs or their affiliate marketing funnels. The economic collapse everyone's warning about? For millions of people, it already happened. It happened quietly, one declined transaction at a time. We're going with another candidate at a time. 1 month of choosing between medications and groceries at a time. But here's what almost nobody talks about. There's a specific point where everything inverts, where the entire game changes rules, and it's not where most people think it is. Most people believe financial security starts at 6 figures, $100,000 a year. That's the dream, right? That's when you've made it. They're looking at the wrong number. The real threshold, the one that actually reorganizes your entire psychological relationship with money, sits somewhere around $35,000 to $40,000 in liquid savings, not invested, not in retirement accounts, just there, available. Boring money sitting in an account doing almost nothing. I know that sounds oddly specific, maybe even disappointingly modest, but stay with me. Because what happens at that threshold isn't about the money itself. It's about what that money does to your nervous system. Think of it like this. You know how a bicycle is almost impossible to balance when you're standing still, but the moment you get enough speed, it practically balances itself? That's what happens at this financial threshold. Below it, you're constantly wobbling, overcorrecting, burning energy just to stay upright. Above it, something fundamental shifts. The physics change. Let me show you what I mean. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, and statistically, that's still about 60% of Americans, your brain is running constant threat calculations. It's not a choice. It's not a personality flaw. It's how human neurology works under resource scarcity. You can't think clearly about a job opportunity when you're 3 days from eviction. You can't negotiate confidently when your gas tank is on E and you don't get paid until Friday. You can't even evaluate a relationship properly when leaving would mean losing the only person who can co-sign your car loan. Scarcity doesn't just limit your options, it colonizes your attention. Researchers call this tunneling. Your cognitive bandwidth narrows. You become brilliant at juggling immediate crises and almost incapable of long-term strategic thinking. It's like trying to play chess while someone's holding your head underwater. Sure, you could plan 3 moves ahead if you could just breathe first. But here's what changes at that $35,000, $40,000 mark. You breathe. Let's be specific. Let's use real numbers. Say you're making $52,000 a year. After taxes, that's roughly $3,900 a month. If you're in a city, your rent might be $1,400, utilities, another $200, car payment and insurance, $400, groceries, $400, phone, internet, basics, another $300. You're at $2,700 before we even talk about debt, medical costs, or the fact that you're a human being who occasionally needs to exist outside of spreadsheets. At this level, a $400 car repair isn't an inconvenience, it's a catastrophe. It cascades, you put it on the credit card, the balance goes up. The minimum payment goes up. Now you have less room next month. One crack spreads across the whole windshield, but watch what happens when you have $40,000 sitting there. That same car repair? It's annoying. It's not ideal, but it doesn't destroy your life. You pay it from savings. Then you spend the next 2 months rebuilding that specific portion. The crack doesn't spread. And here's where it gets interesting, where the math starts to feel almost unfair. Because once you're not hemorrhaging money to emergencies, to overdraft fees, to predatory short-term loans, to the poverty tax of buying cheap things that break, you start accumulating. If you can save even $500 a month, which becomes possible once you're not plugging emergency holes, that's $6,000 a year. In 5 years, even with just modest interest, you're looking at another $35,000 to $40,000. But it doesn't grow linearly. It compounds psychologically. Here's what really happens at this level. You become a different person, not in some motivational poster way. I mean, your actual decision-making patterns change. When you're broke, every financial choice is a negotiation with fear. Can I afford this? Really means, will this destroy me? So you either deprive yourself of misery or you break and binge spend out of desperation, which creates shame, which creates more restriction, which creates more binging. It's not a budgeting problem, it's a trauma response. But when you have that cushion, when you know that buying decent work shoes won't mean skipping meals, your relationship with money shifts from desperate to deliberate. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, is this worth it to me? That sounds like a small distinction. It's not. One question is about survival, the other is about design, and the person who asks the second question makes completely different choices. Not because they're more disciplined, because they have the mental space to actually think. Let me paint you a picture. Two people get the same phone call. Their apartment building is being sold. They have 60 days to find a new place. Person A has $1,200 in their account. Person B has $40,000. For person A, this is an emergency. They're searching for a crack list at midnight. They're taking the first place that says yes. They're probably accepting worse conditions, a worse neighborhood, a longer commute because they don't have leverage. They don't have time. The water's rising. Person B, they're annoyed. It's inconvenient, but they can take their time. They can negotiate first and last month's rent. They can wait for the right place. They might even see it as an opportunity to upgrade strategically. Same event. A completely different experience. Or, here's another one. Your company announces layoffs. Person A spirals. Updates their resume in a panic. Applies to anything. Take the first offer, even if it's lateral or slightly backward, because they need certainty now. Person B feels the anxiety. They're human, but they can be selective. They can wait for the right fit. They can negotiate. They might even use the moment to pivot industries. The difference isn't intelligence. It's not even work ethic. It's whether the decision is being made from fear or from strategy. Here's something else that shifts. You stop sweating the small expenses and start architecting the big ones. Everyone loves to talk about lattes, about avocado toast, about Netflix subscriptions. And look, I'm not saying waste money, but the $5 coffee isn't what's keeping you broke. It's the $600 a month car payment on a car you bought to impress people you don't even like. It's the rent that's 45% of your income because you didn't think you had options. It's the degree you took out $80,000 for because a guidance counselor told you to follow your passion without ever mentioning return on investment. When you have financial stability, you can think clearly about these decisions before you make them. You can ask, do I need a car at all? Or would a bike and occasional ride shares actually save me $400 a month? Could I live with a roommate for 2 years and sock away $1,000 a month? Is this graduate program going to increase my earning potential by enough to justify the cost? Or is it just expensive procrastination? These questions are uncomfortable, but they're the ones that matter. Because saving $50 a month on coffee runs saves you $600 a year, fine. But restructuring your housing, transportation, and career decisions can save or earn you $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a year, different magnitude entirely. And then there's the thing almost nobody talks about, what financial stability does to your professional presence. When you have $40,000 in the bank, you have what some people call walking away money. You can afford to leave a toxic job. You can afford to turn down a low offer. You can afford to take a calculated risk on a startup or a commission-based role. And here's the strange part. You probably won't have to. Because the moment you can walk away, the way you show up changes. Your boss feels it. The recruiter feels it. You're not desperate. You're not performing. You're simply there, calm, clear about your value. And people respond to that. I've watched this happen dozens of times. Someone gets stable and suddenly they're getting promotions they didn't even apply for, offers they didn't pursue. Not because they're gaming the system, because their energy shifted. Desperation repels opportunity. Stability attracts it. Now, here's where people screw it up. You hit 40,000 and your brain says, "Finally, I made it. I deserve something nice." So you buy the car, or you move to an expensive apartment, or you take the vacation you've been fantasizing about for 3 years. And just like that, you're back at 12,000, back in the tunnel. I'm not saying never enjoy your money. I'm saying understand what you're trading. That 40,000 isn't a trophy. It's a seed. It's a tool. It's the thing that lets you stop playing defense and start playing offense. Treat it like a reward, and you'll spend the next 5 years rebuilding it if you're lucky. Treat it like a foundation, and it starts generating more options, more stability, more leverage than you currently understand. Let me give you a concrete example. You finally saved 38,000. You've been driving a 2007 Honda Civic that's paid off but embarrassing. Your coworker just leased a new Audi. It looks incredible. The lease is $520 a month. You can technically afford it, but here's what that actually costs. Over 3 years, that's $18,720. Plus insurance goes up, let's say another $1,200 total. Call it 20 grand, $20,000 that could have kept your emergency fund intact, been invested and grown to 28,000 in a decade, given you 6 months of rent if you wanted to switch careers, been a down payment on an asset that appreciates instead of depreciates, but instead it bought you the feeling of success for 3 years. Then you give the car back and have nothing. I'm not judging the choice. I'm just asking, is that trade worth it to you? Because at this level of wealth, every decision is a choice between two futures. Here's what I want you to understand. Financial stability at this level, 35, 40, 50,000 liquid, doesn't make you rich. It won't put you on magazine covers. You're not buying yachts, but it does something more important. It lets you design your life instead of reacting to it. You can choose your job based on growth and fulfillment, not just whoever says yes fastest. You can choose your home based on quality of life, not just what you can barely afford. You can choose relationships based on compatibility, not financial codependence. You get to think in years instead of weeks. And the person who thinks in years makes completely different choices than the person who's just trying to survive until Friday. The experts are right there. Probably is economic turbulence ahead. There always is. But here's what they won't tell you. The collapse isn't coming. For most people, it's already here. It's been here. It's the baseline. The question isn't whether you'll survive the next crash. It's whether you'll build enough stability that the next crash becomes an inconvenience instead of an extinction event. $35,000 won't make you invincible, but it might make you unbreakable. And 5 years from now, when you're looking at 6 figures in assets, when you're making career moves from confidence instead of fear, when an unexpected expense is just a thing that happened, not a crisis, you'll think back to the moment you decided to build the foundation instead of chasing the appearance. And you'll thank yourself, not because you got rich, but because you got free. Your future self is watching. They're counting on you to do this. Don't let them down. This is Zik. Thanks for listening.